This path is clear in front of me. This path of knowing there is only one everything, one power, one peace, one grace, one ease, one wisdom, one joy. Today, I know that joy. I know the love that is in me, as me, through me, because it is all there is. And I know that is there. Each of us has that in us, as us, through us, overflowing into the world. Yep. No bottom to it, no end to the flow. So I open my arms and say yes. Universe says yes. It's all good. I celebrate today the awareness of a vision that has been cast in front of us, each of us, cast of a world that works for everyone, and how we can be cast in that play, in that movie, to share and know and express a world that works for everyone in every motion, every action, every thought. Starts small, grows. There's no small in God, I know that. We're all the same size. I am so grateful for this knowledge. I am so grateful for this truth. I am so grateful for the love I feel here and in the world. It's there. I look for it and it comes. What do we do when we want fabulous to come? We call it. So today I call fabulous, knowing, oh, here it is. Already done. It's the way the law works. I am so grateful. So I let this go into that law. And together we say, and so it is.
So today we're looking at the power of vision. And just like our values drive our actions, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago, our vision drives the overall direction of our lives. Our vision drives our overall direction of our lives. And just like we all have values, yes? We all have things we value. Some of which drive us to life-affirming actions, and some of us which drive us in a different direction, yes? Not so much. So we all have a vision. We all have visions that drive us, that pull us in our lives. Some of us lead us to expanded lives, fabulous lives, others to more of the same. One evening after 30 years of marriage and 30 years of spending every single night watching TV together, a husband said to his wife, "We need a change. Let's do something exciting." And the wife, who had visions of a night out in the town or traveling to wonderful places or walking, taking long walks in the woods, holding hands, said, "Yes, absolutely. What should we do?" And the husband said, "Let's swap chairs." It's a vision, but it's not a real expansive vision. You know, I like to say I've talked about this in the past, that we all have faith. We all have 100%, all the faith we're ever going to have. The question is, what do I have faith in? Do I have faith in my failure, or do I have faith in my success? What do I have faith in? So what is our vision about? So for many, the vision is just to get through the day, the week, the month, maybe to our next favorite TV show. You know people like that. You are not people like that, but you know people like that. And there's definitely nothing inherently wrong with that, but we live within an expanding universe. We live within an infinite consciousness that is seeking to express more and more and more of itself constantly. And it's constantly shifting and expanding its expression through and as life, which means it's constantly trying to expand its expression through and as you and me. Yes? Breathe. And that inner drive leads us, if we have a small vision, it leads us to ask, is that all there is? You've perhaps been in that place in your life. You've known people. That's when we get guided by a small vision, or when our conditioning might lead us to expect little. But far more is available to any of us, to all of us, if we will allow our vision to expand. You know, little Ernie, that's for people who were in my workshop yesterday, little Ernie tells us that all of the good of the universe, for the rest of you, that's Ernest Holmes, all of the good of the universe is available to us, but we can only have as much as we can embody. The infinite potential is available. How much can I take in? How much can I take in? So expanded vision leads to expanded embodiment. We all have an expanded and expanding vision already existing within us. See, we don't have to go out there and make it. It's already there within you. It's more like I have to unearth it. I have to take the clouds away so I can see the brilliant light within me that's trying to shine through. And we will never feel fully alive, fully soul fulfilled until we are living from that vision, from that power within us, until we are aware of and expressing that vision. And notice that I didn't say until we accomplish that vision, because a vision isn't a thing to accomplish. It's not a measurable goal. We might have measurable goals that help us along that vision, but the vision itself is greater than anything we could accomplish. It moves us forward. It keeps on going. As we seek to express this vision, we may never get to the point where we say, well, that vision is done. Done, dusted, been there, done it. And if we ever do start to feel that way, we'll usually find that we have really arrived at a point where we can see more of the vision. Sort of like when you climb a mountain, the higher up you get to the mountain, the more vista you can see. There's a lovely Zen saying that says, when you reach the top of the mountain, keep climbing. When you reach the top of the mountain, keep climbing. So let's talk about the nature of vision. And she's welcome to stay, by the way. We're not afraid of a little happy noises. If she starts arguing with the minister, then, yeah. And I'm making the presumption it's a she, but okay, good. Great. Ah, great. Great, granddaughter. So let's talk about the nature of vision. A real vision expands us, which keeps us in the flow of the ever-expanding universe. Yes? And we can resist that vision. Anybody besides me ever tried to resist your vision? Buffy talked about a call, for ministry. I had a call for ministry. I didn't know it. I put it off for a long time. And after a while, I just finally put a boot in my butt and said, you're moving forward. But over time, we'll find ourselves falling further behind the expanding expression of life. I look at people, for instance, who have had 30 or 40 years to learn how to work with computers and are still today saying, I don't know how to work a computer, because they didn't catch the vision and stay with the flow of life. Yes? Breathe. And then they want to return to the good old days, which, by the way, is not the way that life flows. It doesn't go backwards. Evolution is always forward. And frankly, the good old days weren't always all that good. Yes? Maybe they were good for a certain little group, but not all that good. So as we allow ourselves to be expanded by an expanded vision, we are called to become more, to learn more. We don't grow without having to leave the old behind and step into something new, learn something new. That's what growth takes. When Buffy answers the call to ministerial school, it leaves behind the convenience of whatever she was doing in her life up until then and said, I need to learn something new. The same with Angelina, the same with me, the same with any of you who have started to follow, who have moved on to following a vision. We learn new ways of being. We learn new ways of expressing. And as we've talked about before, our wonderful intellects, which have a tremendous capacity to learn, sometimes are just plain lazy. And we get content with, I'd rather just stay everything the same because I know how to work it all. Yes? I know how to work it. I've already got to figure it out. I really don't want to take on anything new. So a good vision moves us past the intellectual laziness and gives us a desire to move forward. A good vision excites us. It emotionally involves us. Yes? Yes. Trust me. It gets us out of bed in the morning saying, yeah, I want to tackle this. And sometimes it may be, yeah, I want to tackle this. But we still do it. When I used to be a hardcore cyclist, I'd get out of bed in the morning and I'd look at days like this and go, the bed's so warm. Do I really want to go out and put on spandex and in Lycra go riding through the rain and like that? And 10 minutes into my ride, I'd sit there and go, I'm so glad I'm out here in the rain riding through this, because the endorphins would have kicked in. So it's the vision that pulls us forward, because I had the vision of wanting to be in better and better and better shape. So our vision moves us out of our ruts. We hear a lot about creating vision statements, and we may try to word them perfectly to include so much and offend no one. Corporations and nonprofits do that sort of a thing. But frankly, these are usually kind of dry statements, which, while they sound wonderful, miss the juice and the punch and the power of, this is what I really want. This is what I'm really called to. I warned Brent about this. I'm going to use the CSL vision statement as an example. The vision statement is, we envision a world that works for everyone in all of creation. Isn't that nice? What does it mean? What does it look like? What's the action that it calls me to? Where's the passion in it? So to me, it's missing those things of excitement and a call to action. And the idea of it is so vastly beyond what I can comprehend right now that I have no idea how to wake up in the morning and set about creating that vision. And I love Brent's song, because Brent's song puts some power and passion and action into that vision. And that's one of the things I love about this song that we're going to be featuring at the end of the service, that this video is about. So our own CSL vision statement, living as love in a world of love, also not perfect, but at least says, I know what to do. I can live as love. Maybe the world isn't quite there yet, as a whole world of love, but there's love in the world, isn't there? I read something from Ernest Holmes yesterday that said, the happiness of the world is in us. The world has happiness, yes? Sometimes we forget that in all of the stuff. The media shows, unhappiness, strife, struggle, pain, fear, drama. If we go behind that, if we listen underneath that more quietly, there is happiness in the world. There is love in the world. And so that shows up in us. And frankly, the unhappiness of the world also shows up in us. So we have that balance going on. We have that process going on. And I like to say, which wolf do I want to feed, from that story of which energy do I want to give my energy to. So our vision has a component of what I can do to advance this vision. I can live lovingly, and thereby I can expand love in the world. When we did visioning as a community back in January, one of the things that came through powerfully was the idea of expanding. We wanted to expand. We wanted to expand the size of our community. We wanted to expand our involvement in the greater community outside, beyond the walls of this. And these are things that we can work toward and inspire us to take actions in that direction, yes? And a good vision guides us in making decisions. Does this line up with my vision or not? Does this support expansion or not? So it's important to not have a vision statement that's so perfectly organized and proper that squeezes all the life energy out of the actual vision that we want. Because what I know at that home office, our overall organization vision is about us getting along, is about us working together, is about us being in harmony and in love together, and in effectiveness together. And so sometimes, it's just use some not proper words to say that, yes? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Another thing to recognize about a powerful vision is that it can often be motivated by what we don't want. I talked a couple weeks ago about the idea of being a people who are for something and against nothing, but sometimes noticing what I'm against spurs me on to say, okay, if that's what I'm against, what is it that I want instead of that? A very simplified version of that was when I was envisioning having my Miata. This is a really high, sacred, calling here. But when I was envisioning having my Miata, one of the motivators was a little voice in my head that said, if I really want this car, which I've been wanting for 25 years, I better get on with it before I get so old that I can't enjoy it. That's a negative motivator, yes? And I wanted to experience the enjoyment of that car, because joy is part of the core of that vision. And then I realized that joy is part of my overall vision of how I approach life. I know that's a surprise to many of you. Joy and playfulness would be part of my vision. Nobody's surprised by that who knows me. And that's how you know what your vision is you're starting to live it. So we can have a vision of expanding, of sharing this teaching with others, with an element of, because damn, have you seen the world lately? Yeah. Or because if we don't expand, we'll die off. Those are both negative motivators, but they can push us toward, this is why the vision is valuable to me. This is why it has energy and juice for me. It's because I don't want this to happen. What I really want to happen is this over here. We're creating the video today because Brent doesn't want his song to go into some obscurity. He wants to have something that's powerful, passionate, and joyful to expand the reach and the vision and the power and the enjoyment of that song. So sometimes we can catch our vision by imagining ourselves at the end of our life, looking back and saying, what will I regret? What will I be really ticked off about having not done, having not created, having not experienced in my life? You can look backwards and say, what's important to me? And that kind of a question leads us to the core of why we're here. Karen Walrond, in the book, The Lightmaker's Manifesto, I'm going to recommend this book, by the way, later on. It's the book of the month. I've become a huge champion of personal mission statements. There's something to be said for spending time figuring out how to declare what we stand for based on our values and clarifying what we hope our legacy will be. This declaration can serve as a reminder and a guide for our decisions and a tool to discern which opportunities to accept and which ones to decline. It's the power of knowing what it is. What is my vision? What is it that I really stand for? Having an overall vision in life is powerful. It guides all aspects of our lives. And also having an awareness of a vision for aspects of our lives also guides us in individual segments of our lives. So one aspect of my overall vision for my life is to experience and express God's love and joy in human form. So having a vision of a car in which I experience joy is a little aspect of that larger vision, yes? For us, being loving to each other is part of the bigger vision of being more loving in the world, yes? For us, figuring out how to make things work together is part of the larger vision of our overall organization. Because we've had a few disagreements here once in a while. Nothing huge, but we've had disagreements. You don't agree with that, so there we go. And learning how to work through all that is part of expanding how can I create at least a community that works for everyone, that works for all, that respects all. You know, I look at my next door neighbor, Steve, who many of you know, and I watch him, this morning I know he was out playing disc golf in the rain. He goes out every Sunday morning and plays disc golf in the rain. And he does a lot of outdoor activities. He leads hikes and walks, and he's been a tour guide for all his life. There's a bumper sticker on his pickup truck that says, "A life lived outside is a life well lived." What's one of his values? What's part of his vision? Is that outdoorsiness, and what I realized is it's doing it together. It's always doing it in community. He has a formerly running group, now walking group, that's a group of people. He goes out and plays disc golf with friends. He does all this as friends, with friends. And so I can see the values that he has of, he loves being outdoors, that's part of the vision, and that healthiness and whatever that comes out of that, and he loves doing it in community. He loves doing it together. So we can look at our lives, we can look at parts of our lives and say, what makes me come alive? Where do I feel fully alive? And that is a clue to something bigger of your vision. I would expect that Amy's, one of her joys is singing and stage productions, which can be, once we start to say, okay, so what do I really experience out of that? Is part of the larger vision of what's my life about. Some CSLs use the visioning process, which we're going to talk about in just a moment, to guide every aspect of what they do. Every aspect. Every committee, everything, new project, that starts. And the visioning process is a process in which we ask, what is Spirit's highest idea about this thing? Which is a fabulous way of lifting us up above our conditioning, above our limited thinking, and saying, what's an expanded view of this? What is Spirit's highest idea here? And then it comes with the accompanying questions, what must I become and what must I release? Because anytime we want to expand, we have to expand ourselves and we have to let go of something, even if it's just our smallness. It's a powerful process that lifts us above our everyday thinking, lifts us above our clouds of conditioning to the bright light of expanded possibility, and to listen to what is truly and powerfully calling to us. So this week, I'm going to invite you to just do one spiritual practice. Can you guess what it is? Visioning. Take some time to ask, what vision is calling me? And again, you can sit there and listen to this from a cosmic point of view, what is Spirit's highest idea? Or you can look at what in my life gives me juice. Where is it that I come alive? Where is it that I feel the most in alignment and true with myself? And then we ask, where am I be called to something greater? And what must I become? And what must I let go of? You willing to play with that this week? I want to share this book, The Lightmaker's Manifesto, has a wonderful extended process for getting to that. It helps you identify values and creates what she calls a spark statement and stuff like that. So I would recommend The Lightmaker's Manifesto. If you want to know about it, it's in the May newsletter as our book of the month. So I want to close with a story of an experience of visioning that I also had. When I was in the middle of ministerial school, I following an assignment that I just did to do an assignment because it was required to do the assignment, I thought, well, the assignment, by the way, was create a business plan for a spiritual community. And nobody else was doing a church, which I thought was odd in a class of ministers. They were doing focus ministries and stuff like that. So I said, well, I'll do a business plan for a church, for starting a church. Where would I start this church? Well, I used to live in Hartford, Connecticut. How about starting it there? Because there's nothing New Thoughty in I think there's 2 churches in all of New England at the time. One in Portland, Maine, one in Providence, Rhode Island. I thought, I'll start this. So I started doing some research. I found out there was a practitioner with a small group there, and I recognized the practitioner's name because she used to be a practitioner at CSL Seattle. So I contacted her, and I realized that I was the answer to a prayer for her. I was the answer to her vision of having a community there. So my wife got on board with it. We started to vision it. We actually took a trip to New Haven, Connecticut, met with that group, did a workshop, did a Sunday service, all that stuff. And then, and it also affected how we approached the rest of our 2 years of ministerial school. What classes we took, what assignments we took on, what internships we took on, because I realized I wasn't going to be going into the kind of a church like CSL Seattle, 1,400 people on a Sunday, large budget, 20 people on staff. That wasn't going to be how I was going to start, yes? Yes. No, never mind. And so, but it affected what classes we took, what learnings we did. And so eventually there was a minister, a well-respected minister who retired to Connecticut, and he started to be on the calls I was having with the regional support coordinator in the area. And he said, I'm retired, I'm not trying to start a church, but he was excited about it and was giving advice. And after a few months, he said, you know what, I'm feeling the call to come out of retirement. And we said, great, and the regional support coordinator said, that's great, but there's another pair of groups up in Springfield, Massachusetts, that are also looking for that. So we kind of turned our attention up there, took a trip out to Springfield, Massachusetts, did the same thing, workshop, Sunday service, met with them, all that stuff. The short story is, it all fell apart. The group in Springfield, Mass. Had a big fight with each other, the 2 groups, literally the week before our panels at Asilomar, where we were going to, right after that, head off to New England for our ministry and all like that. The minister who came out of retirement started a group at a church that is still going and thriving in outside of Hartford. So the vision that I had is going, yes? Yeah. I'm not there, but the vision is going. And that's what sometimes happens with vision, is we start to get that. And of course, I didn't end up in New England, have you noticed? And I didn't even end up married to the same person, have you noticed? And so the visions shift, but they still manifest. I'm still doing my vision of ministry that I love where I love it. That's really the core of the vision. I'm still there. And so to notice your vision, don't get attached to exactly how it must show up, the exact form of it. You know, Brent had a vision today of a wonderful outdoor concert. We were going to have an outdoor cookout, outdoor, and we're in the, as you know, we were joking ahead of time. It's a typical, you know, Puget Sound Memorial Day weekend. You know, it's raining and cloudy and stuff. But we can still have a wonderful, powerful concert, wonderful, powerful connection time, and a wonderful, powerful video created out of this. The vision adapts if we adapt to what the vision is calling us to. So I want to close with a quote from Howard Thurman. And he talks about intentions, and I'm using it, I'm thinking of intentions in the same way as vision. And he says, our intentions belong to us. They come full-blown out of the world in which we work and hope and carry on. They are not imposters. They are not foreign elements invading our world like some solitary comet from the outer reaches of space. No, our intentions are our spirit, the vital part of us. They become for us the bearers of new possibility, the enlarged horizon, the great hope. Even as they romp among the galaxies, they come back to their place in our lives, bringing with them the radiance of the far heights and giving all of our days the lift and the magic of stars. Isn't that powerful? Our vision, when we catch it, when we let it live within us, brings that magic of the stars, the light of the stars, brings our light forward. I invite you to let your vision light you up. We have an affirmation. Say this with me. I listen to and express the vision that is calling me. One more time. I listen to and express the vision that is calling me. And so it is. Thank you.